Hey everyone, welcome to the 26th episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. I'm here with Bryce. My name's Jim Croger. We're sorry that we couldn't upload any footage last week. Bryce and I did try filming, but because of weather and thunderstorms, our connection was poor and we were just unable to upload it. And we were pretty devastated because we had a good episode last week, didn't we, Bryce?
Tough day. It was tough. I had a lot of hot takes.
But we'll catch you guys up on what we talked about last week for a little bit. But obviously, this is primarily a Philadelphia sports podcast. So we're going to get into the Philadelphia Eagles, which, depending on how you look at it, they came away with a big win or not a big win. Bryce, let me get your take on that Philadelphia Eagles beat down of the Detroit Lions.
I rarely think you could ever say this ever. I texted you yesterday, and I don't think I've ever said something like this before, but I was like, I hate that the Eagles won, and I hate that they won by so much. Like, to me, that was a perfect situation where, to me, the season's over already. Dallas, especially with the win yesterday, they should have, that could have been an easy, win for the Vikings. They don't pull it off, so Dallas goes to, what are they, 6-1 now?
Dallas is 6-1.
6-1. With a really
Dallas has won every single game since they lost their first one of the season by 2 points to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they win. I know they've got a really easy schedule coming up. I know they got like Denver and like the Jets. They've got really easy schedule. I don't see them really losing many games this season. And the Eagles just stay in that weird area where, yeah, you're a 3-win team, just not good whatsoever. Got a big game coming up this week. But, yeah, I mean, they blew out the worst team in football. I'll give them credit. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of teams have been struggling with Detroit, the Rams included, who right now look like possibly the Super Bowl favorite, especially with adding Von Miller. We'll talk about that later. But, they blew out a really bad team, which you got to give them a little bit of credit for. They found out what worked, and they just kept going with it. The run worked yesterday for the first time ever.
And that's the problem. The run always would have been working. And why now when we're playing the Detroit Lions, that's probably why they ran the ball, because that was like, we had an opportunity to win that game. So then you run the ball and, hey, if you run it well, so be it. If you don't, who cares? But come on.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts only had to throw the ball 14 times, which that's like not like his fault. Like if the run works, if you're up 40, if you're scoring.
No. That's where we disagree right there. Because listen, I don't mean to cut you off about this, but Jalen Hurts only throwing the ball 14 times. To me, that's the biggest indicator that Nick Sirianni, I don't even know who the offensive coordinator is. He's a young guy.
I know John Gadden is the defensive coordinator.
Defensively, yeah. I don't know. I think Sirianni's calling them. I don't know what's going on. But the Eagles do not trust Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. And, like you said, why would you win that game? Load up on the picks.
I just don't think – I think that, like, you can't really, like, trust me, and I'm going to get into what I said last week about how I felt about Hurts and the Eagles, but I think this week is a bad judgment of what, like, I get he only threw 14 passes, but, like, you just got to look at it when they dominated them from the start to the finish of that game, and, the run was working. They were scoring easy. Dallas Goedert was getting open. He was in the tight end, and it was just – and Hurts had a lot of good plays on his feet, which I'll get into that, why I don't like that. We all know that. But
he's on pace right now. He's on pace for over 1,000 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. All right, that's a running back.
Yeah, he's a
quarterback. That's a running back.
Yeah, 100%. But I just think, we just benefited. We played a really, really bad Detroit team. I thought they were much better. They had me convinced. They've had a lot of really, really, really tough losses this season, a lot of like field goals. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me. Baltimore barely beats them. They're a potential Super Bowl candidate. The Rams barely beat them. They're definitely as of now, I think they're the betting favorite for the Super Bowl. They're my favorite to win the Super Bowl right now.
I got a question for you because, we're talking very bad Detroit Lions football team. We come away with the win. That's where you give Hurts a little bit, like, give him a little leeway. All right, because
you got to give him credit for it. It wasn't like a win. It was a blowout. Like, they blew them out.
They did what they had to do.
Yeah.
But that's my point. If the Detroit Lions are as bad as everyone says they are, we blew them out. Why are you not trying to get a better look at your franchise quarterback. Have him throw the ball, have him air it out, have him throw 30, 40 times because you're most likely, even if he does not throw the ball well, you're most likely still going to win that game because the Detroit Lions are that bad. Now you're going to play a Chargers team where you're going to have to throw the ball because they have a guy over there. I don't know if you know his name. His name's Justin Herbert. He's a pretty good quarterback. And that team is good. Like they're a pass first offense. So what, you're going to expect Hurts to run the ball as many, I'm not coming at you. I'm just asking that question.
I will say, and I think I said this in our last podcast as a potential upset I had, and I've been saying it throughout the week. And I'll lead on to how this, it comes together. But I did have the Patriots beating the Chargers because I've been looking up some stats. I thought the Eagles had the worst run defense in the NFL. It's actually not. It's the Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL. So I think you might be seeing a different kind of plan, possibly similar to how they did against the Lions, and maybe all run because the Chargers have struggled all season on stopping the run. Literally the worst NFL team at stopping the run currently. So we might not see as many throws as you expect from Hurts. This might be like I said, with Howard, Austin Scott, and Kenny Gainwell and Hurts, this is going to be, I think they might have a completely different game plan than you expect.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles did run the ball 46 total times on Sunday. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's more, I think, in one game than they have all season total. It's got to be close.
Yeah, what's crazy
for running backs.
What's crazy too, and I think the Eagles are like, I'm pretty sure this is us. We haven't had a player run for over 100 yards in like 2 years, something like crazy like that, like at a 100-yard game. I think Sanders has gotten to like 90 something pretty consistently, but
yeah, and I think that was the largest margin of victory for the Eagles in a while.
And since 2017, I saw today.
Yeah, so
Super Bowl year.
All right, so I saw an article today from somebody, Elliot Shore Parks, WIP, and he says that the Eagles should be buyers at tomorrow's NFL trade deadline. Should the Philadelphia Eagles be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline tomorrow? Because how he looks at it is right now, the Eagles are, yes, sitting at 3-5, but they're only a game back of the second NFC wild card. So I've heard rumors from all over, especially from guys from WIP. Some are saying trade Fletcher Cox. Some are saying buy. Would you be a buyer or would you be a seller?
1,000% a seller. To me, if you can't win the Super Bowl, what's the point of buying? NFL is not like baseball where a really bad team can get in. Like the Braves are a perfect example. They're not a bad team, but they struggled all year. They barely made the playoffs. They won our crappy division, and they were barely above 500 for, just at the end of the season. They were pretty much below 500 almost the whole entire season. Now they're up 3-2 in the World Series. They had a chance.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this, but last year the Bucks, I'm pretty sure, were the wild card team, weren't they? I know. I'm not sure. Just and the Giants, both those years they won, they were wild card. So you can pretend. Listen, I've been so bought out on the Eagles. Like I haven't supported the Eagles since the start of the season.
You got zero stock in on the Eagles.
I didn't trust them at all. But it is an interesting article because if you're only a game out, and now we face a Denver Broncos team who just got rid of Von Miller, like you said, we'll talk about that later. And then I forget who we have after Denver.
I think we have the Jets. I know we have the Jets like one of those weeks.
I'm not saying we're going to win, but 2 winnable games.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right there. But how I see it is, I think you got to be looking more to be a seller and get rid of these bigger contracts.
I agree.
I don't think they're going to get rid of Fletcher Cox because I read something about how if we get rid of Fletcher Cox this season, we owe him $59 million. It's not like Fletcher.
Guaranteed money we owe?
Dead cap. Like if we get rid of him, we have to pay him in dead cap, which like it would go on to like next season. I was reading the article about it.
$59 million.
He signed a huge deal, but to me, it's not like he's a bad player. Like he's still a decent, like he's not what he was, but he's still a decent NFL player. I'd rather keep him and just have him play on that contract than get rid of him. I would look to get rid of guys like, yes, I know people like him, but I don't. Darius Slay.
That's another guy though with big money on his contract.
Big money, older,
The one thing with Fletcher Cox is I still think he has some value, but the Eagles and that defensive coordinator have not used him the right way at all this year. Cox has been very vocal about not being used the right way, how he's a different type of defensive lineman. Me, similar to like Zach Ertz, I would get rid of Fletcher Cox and let him go play for a contender. Like the Eagles aren't going anywhere anytime soon. They're not going to win the Super Bowl next year. They're not going to win the Super Bowl after that. Especially when you look at the quarterback class this season.
Yeah, it's not good.
So I don't expect the Eagles to be anywhere near Super Bowl contenders for at least the next 2 years. So get Fletcher Cox out of here, put him on a contender. But like you said, it's going to be hard to move that contract.
Yeah,
same with Darius Slay.
That's the big thing, especially for teams with already big salary caps. Like the Rams are already paying Ramsey max, Aaron Donald max, Stafford's making max. Those wide receivers are making good money.
It's a shame. It's a shame because, you talked about Miles Sanders' injury. He would have been an interesting trade piece, I think, because the Eagles weren't using him all year. He was obviously unhappy. You said so yourself. You think Sirianni likes Kenny Gainwell better, which, from the carries he does. Now Jordan Howard stepped in and performed well. So the Eagles, Miles Sanders has value all around the league. Many people are high on him. Maybe the Titans were going to give us, you know what I mean? Like it'd be interesting to see.
No, I think so. I think the biggest piece you got to look at, and to me it makes the most sense, I think everyone can agree. I'm not just saying this because I absolutely hate him. He's my least favorite player on the team, but Derek Barnett, if he's on the last year of his deal, if you're not looking to extend him, if you have no plans on it, you might as well try some team will take a flare on him. Send a Super Bowl type team will send a 3rd or 4th round pick. Look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still a solid team. They rip off a couple wins. Their defense is horrible. I could see them possibly trading a 3rd or 4th round pick just for a guy like Derek Barnett. Still a 1st round pick, still a guy that's had some good plays. Hasn't played terrible this season. Obviously, I think just the big thing with him is the penalties, but he's definitely a guy. I think he would be the number one guy you got to look to get rid of if you don't plan on extending him, which I hope they don't extend him, but that's the big one to me. Why would you even keep him on the team? You know what I mean? Like if you can just get something for a former 1st round pick, you might as well look. I also saw that we're looking to get rid of Wilson, the linebacker. I saw that they're looking to trade him. I don't know who's taking a flare on him, kind of random. And I also saw Steven Nelson. Teams might be calling about him, which I would be full blown sellers, especially guys like Steven Nelson on 1-year deals. Wilson's on a 1-year deal. They're probably not going to be back next season. Maybe they are, but I doubt it. Get rid of them. And I would really look to try to get rid of a guy like Darius Slay, who's having a solid season. Another Super Bowl team I could definitely see them bringing him in. Just try to get a picks in, try to get rid of that salary. They got to build for the future. And that starts by clearing up the salary cap. And there's a lot of big name guys that are, a lot of older guys on this team that are making a lot of money that you need to look to get rid of because it's like you said, we're 2 years away from being a Super Bowl type winning team. We're not there yet.
Yeah. No,
we're not even in the ballpark of that.
No, I'm saying at least 2 years, at least, because you got to look with all the picks we have, we might flip them for a quarterback in the off season. We might take 3 guys with that. Like, who are you going to take then at that point? So
I got a question for you. Obviously, I'm sure you saw the rumors this week on the Eagles are going to pursue. I think that Deshaun Watson thing's dead because I think Deshaun Watson doesn't want to come to the Eagles. He can wait. He can use that trade clause. So I think that's done. I think he's pretty set on going to Miami. And from what I hear, that trade's done, but it hasn't happened yet. I heard a lot of rumors about us getting Russell Wilson. I think it is his last year in Seattle for sure. I think Pete Carroll's done. I think they're going to blow that team up. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers is not coming back next year, depending on what happens. Obviously, they could win a Super Bowl or something, and maybe he could change his mind. But as of now, I saw a rumor saying the Eagles are all in on getting both those guys. How do you feel about that?
There's a reason why Deshaun Watson does not want to come play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's because we have no talent whatsoever. We're an old team on the defense end of the ball. Our offensive line is very old. Kelsey obviously aging. Lane Johnson's up there in age. Brandon Brooks gets hurt every year. Our really only like proven option on offense, in my opinion, is Miles Sanders. I know, people will say like, oh, he's not doing well. Everyone knows he's a good running back. Goddard, he's starting to have a better season now that Ertz is out of the way. And like you said, we don't really know what we're going to get out of Devontae Smith. He's struggled in the past couple games. I believe it's because we have, defenses can, mark him up and zone in on him.
I also think it hurts the fact that obviously being a number one wide receiver, I think obviously this is no knock on Jamar Chase. He's an absolute stud. But I think it helps the fact that he's got guys like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins who are decently proven guys in the league.
And Joe Mixon out of the backfield. He got good guys all around. And he's got a quarterback that can throw him the ball.
And also Devontae Smith, think about our second option on offense.
Yeah,
wide receiver-wise is probably Jalen Reagor, who I think we could all agree just a complete bust. He's not an NFL-type player.
You can't expect Devontae Smith to have a 100-yard game yesterday when your quarterback has 14 pass attempts. So just that alone. And, he only completed, I think, 9 of them. So
yeah, and 7 of them, I think 7 of them were to or 5 or 6 of them were to Dallas Goedert.
So, right there, I give Devontae Smith a break. But to answer your question, Deshaun Watson doesn't want to come to the Eagles for a reason. We have no talent. Therefore, Aaron Rodgers, he's not coming to Philadelphia. And Russell Wilson, who's even younger than Aaron Rodgers and, I think has, a longer career, he's not going to want to waste any years in Philadelphia. So we have the draft capital to flip one for those guys, like 3 first-round picks. Any team would accept that.
Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt. And I also think you got to look at it like, yes, it's not a deep quarterback draft, but there's plenty of really solid players. The kid out of Oregon, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I
see Aaron Rodgers. I know we talked about this on the show in episodes past. I see Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. With that defense, Ben Roethlisberger's obviously gone after this year. They have the most cap, I think, next year. Like, they'll be able to give Aaron Rodgers the entire city of Pittsburgh if they wanted to.
I'm still really sold on him going to Denver. Obviously, the Von Miller trade hurts, but I think the Denver made a great deal today too. Yes, you're getting rid of Von Miller, who's still a very, very, very good player. Honestly, borderline elite player still. But getting a second and a third round pick for a guy that's aging, I mean, he's in his 30s. He's declining. He's not going to be as productive. That's a lot. I mean, you see those Pro Bowlers, all pros getting traded. Stephon Gilmore, he was Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. He gets traded for, what was it, a 6th-round pick?
It did not take a lot to get him. And so Russell Wilson, well, now Stephon Gilmore, like you said, he's on the Carolina Panthers. I could actually see, I know the Panthers are suitors for Deshaun Watson, but if they don't get him and Miami gets Watson, I think that the Carolina Panthers this offseason can be big players for Russell Wilson. Imagine that offense with Russell Wilson and Christian McCaffrey. They have a good defense. They do have a good defense.
There's another guy that and I know this sounds crazy, but I've been thinking about it, especially now after watching, just the Bears in general. And I think Mitch Trubisky, I think some teams are going to be calling about him possibly. Maybe even the Saints right now. The Saints might give him a call. I mean, I know it's kind of crazy to trade for a quarterback in the middle of the season. I doubt it, but I think, he's by far, to me, thinking about it right now, is definitely the best backup in the NFL. I mean, I think he could get another shot. I know that was really wild and out of nowhere. I was just kind of thinking about that.
No, it's a good topic to bring up. Obviously,
if you think about it, like, I would take a flyer. I mean, I was not big on Mitch Trubisky. I was more of a Mitch Trubisky hater than I was a lover. I felt like you were one of the two. But I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on him if I was, like, I'm saying if I'm in the Panthers' shoes, if I'm in something like that. I think the Panthers are pretty sold on Darnold not being the guy at this point.
For the first couple of weeks of the season, he was playing well. He did look good, but
it was similar to Denver. They just played really bad teams in the beginning of the year, and you had to see what they were made of. And now after a couple.
But then again, though, this is where I give Darnold a little bit of. He lost the best running back in the league to injury.
No, yeah, 100%. And I know that team's had a lot of drops this season, but I think we could both agree. It's just he's not a Super Bowl winning guy. He's not going to take him above the edge. And that team's very, very talented. They've got a lot of young talent. I like the coach there a lot. If they can get Russell Wilson, they're going to be an immediate, to me, not maybe
Oh,
like a borderline Super Bowl contender. They're going to be right
yeah.
there flirting with, kind of similar to how Baltimore is this season to me. Like a really good team. You just feel like they're Super Bowl. They can win the Super Bowl, but to me, they're a little bit more further away than closer to it, just because with
No,
the stuff.
you texted me last night about this. The Browns lost at home yesterday to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 15-10 was the final score, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Good old fashioned ugly game. Just how
Yeah.
like it.
But you said Baker Mayfield's done in Cleveland. I actually think there's a better chance that they get rid of Odell and Landry tomorrow at the deadline and keep Baker next year, whether it's on a 1-year deal, like a prove it yourself deal. But if I was the Eagles, I would consider a Baker Mayfield a quarterback, because if you Baker has showed, if you put the players around him, he can play well. I mean, look at that team last year.
I think the
They got a
issue.
playoff win.
I think I'm more of a big, like I said, like, it's similar to Darnold. You're either a lover or a hater. I'm definitely more of a lover when it comes to Baker. I think he's proven, it's just the inconsistency, like the inconsistency with years. Rookie season, had a great rookie season. We all know about that. High expectations second year, really plays bad in the second year. Then really high expectations third year, more of like a prove it year, has a great season. And now he's kind of tailing back into having a bad season. And I don't know if the Browns are willing to take another risk, take a flare on him, because he's had 4 seasons to prove himself. Would I give up on him? No, but I feel like the Browns are more out on him. I feel like they're done with that whole little rebuild. They went with like a Madden type rebuild. They brought in all these big names, traded away traded away picks to get these big name guys. I think we can both agree Jarvis is maybe a solid number 3 on a team at this point. His career is pretty much coming down to the end, in my opinion. And Odell is just only talked about because of his name. He's been pretty irrelevant.
You think Odell will get traded tomorrow?
I think if a team calls and they can get a 3rd, 4th round pick for him, he's gone. And same with Landry, probably even less than that. Get rid of his salary.
I don't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just think the Browns are, they have potential. They've got a lot of young talent. I think the defense is there. I think I'm still not bought in really on that coach yet. They still have got 2 really, really good running backs. Peoples-Jones has proven that he's a solid wide receiver. They've done well with drafting over the last couple of years. They've got a couple good tight ends. If they can get rid of those guys, maybe pick up a wide receiver or 2 in free agency and maybe get a guy in the draft and bounce back and have a solid season. But yeah, to me, you got to look to get rid of those guys, get rid of those big contracts, ship them to teams that, think they have a shot at winning the Super Bowl, playoff type teams. Yeah, you got to get rid of those contracts. I just think everyone talked, remember like 2 years ago when they were that exciting team, they were bringing in, they bring in these big names. It's over now. They're out of their prime. You hate to see it because Odell's very exciting to watch, and same thing with Landry, but it's done. It's over. It's time to change ship. It's time to see, get those guys in New Jerseys. I mean, we'll see. I'll see what they do. But to me, yeah, they definitely got to look to trade. I think they're just not there this year. I just think they're just a middle team. They're a middle of the ground team, more at the bottom 15 rather than the top 15.
An interesting suitor that just popped in my mind for some reason. I don't know. There's, people are kind of on the fence with this team. They're not sure if they're going to be a playoff contender or not. But the Patriots right now are sitting in 4-4. It just came away with a big win against the Chargers. And that defense does look good.
Mac Jones looks really good. Mac Jones looks very, very good.
So that's where my next question is. Do you think that the Patriots could make a push for Odell Beckham tomorrow at the deadline? They have the draft capital. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback. He could use a number 1 guy. And then that offense starts to look a little bit stronger with that defense. They can make a late season push.
No, I think the Patriots for sure are going to make the playoffs. I think they're a good team. I've been telling you about that. I think they're a very good team. Obviously, very well coached. No ifs, ands, buts about that. Mac Jones was the perfect quarterback to have in there. He doesn't make mistakes. He gets the ball out quick. But yeah, I mean, it's just they always run a weird type of offense though, and that like who's the number 1 there right now? Nelson Aguilar, Myers.
Yeah, N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry. I mean, it's just a bunch of randoms. I just feel like, yes, I can see that.
Probably their tight ends, Hunter Henry and John New Smith, right?
Yeah, I can see them bringing in a Odell, but it's not going to be for anything big. Odell's not what he used to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They might be able to flip, like, not high. He's not worth a first round pick no more.
I mean, what would you realistically, if you're in the Patriots position and you're willing to take on the salary, what are you going to give him? I don't think I'm giving him more than a 4th round pick at best.
I was just about to say, if you're taking on his salary, 4th round pick. If the Browns are willing to eat some of his contract, then I would maybe go 3rd round pick.
They did that a couple of years ago. I remember the Texans wanted to get rid of Osweiler's contract. The Browns said, we'll take him, but you got to give us a 2nd round pick. And they just ate like the $50 million on his salary, which was just
So I know Belichick, the GM Belichick, it'd be interesting to see if he makes a call. Another wide receiver to keep your eye out for, which, you're a big fan, obviously, of the Rams. Matt Stafford's having a great year. Cooper Kupp, obviously, is an absolute stud. That defense just got even better today. But Deshaun Jackson, former Philadelphia Eagle, once out. Could you see the Patriots making a phone call to him? Like, teams like that, even the Indianapolis Colts, I know they lost yesterday to the Titans, but there's still an outside chance now that Derrick Henry went down that the Colts can make a push. Do they give Deshaun Jackson a call? Because now T.Y. Hilton's hurt. There's so many injuries around the league that makes the trade deadline so interesting. Where do you see Deshaun Jackson going?
It's kind of crazy, especially the fact that I felt like Deshaun, I mean, and you know how I feel about Deshaun Jackson. But, I thought it was kind of random. I thought he was having a decently solid season for the Rams. I felt like things were working there. He's on probably his first winning team in forever. I mean, Deshaun's kind of known for playing.
A chance to get a ring. He had a chance to get a ring.
I was going to say, I mean, what's the point? Why is he even playing in the league at this point if he's not trying to get a ring? Just stay on the Rams. I mean, Deshaun's very, very done. I mean, yes, he's going to have that big potential. He's going to have like a 70-yard touchdown every couple of games, but he's done. I mean, you can agree with me. I mean, he's not really like anything. He's not a big, he has a big play here and there, that, but like he's not what he used to be. He's nearing the end. It just really confuses me what's going on there. I don't know. I mean, I see him more getting cut rather than traded at this point.
Okay.
Because I think the best thing a team would give is a 7th round pick, and I feel like they're not even willing to give up. They rather just not give up the 7th round pick and just let him get cut and be one of the first people, the suitors to try and sign him. Yeah.
No, that's why, because it's funny you brought that up. I thought he was having a good season too, because we had a couple highlights of his touchdowns with him and Matthew Stafford connecting. I saw a tweet today that someone said that, would you welcome back Deshaun Jackson in Philadelphia? Would you welcome him back?
Absolutely not. I hate Deshaun Jackson.
He had his second term with the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, injuries held him back.
Very forgettable.
But I think that he will play for a different team after tomorrow. I think that they're going to trade him. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But
I got to assume this is going to be his last stop too.
It's got to be, right?
I mean, he's got to be 34 years old, and
because he just had that surgery last year, and
this is it. Just realistic. It just has to be it for him.
Someone said the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be a suitor for him.
I just don't see it.
I can see Deshaun going there.
I think they're pretty happy with their wide receivers, as I would be too.
So would I, though. But Antonio Brown's been hurt a couple games this year. Gronk obviously went down again with back spasms. And Scotty Miller has been hurt all year. So not knowing if Antonio Brown and Scotty Miller, Gronk, if those guys are going to be there, Brady could use another weapon. Why not?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily hate that move. I just think they're kind of set on wide receiver. I don't think they're going to make any big changes when it comes to that. Deshaun used to play for them actually, which is funny, but
yeah.
I don't think offense is like a problem there. Like, I don't think they necessarily need to waste a pick to bring in a guy. I think if the Buccaneers are going to make a trade, it's for a cornerback because they're injured there. Yeah. Darius Slay, Steven Nelson could be a nice fit for the Buccaneers.
They can use secondary help.
Yeah, they
really can.
They need some help for sure. I also want to, because I didn't talk about it last week. I want to get into it. I don't want to be honest because obviously I've cooled off since the Raiders game, but I got to be honest. Um, Jim knows, and I said last week that I've been rooting for him. I'm still a big fan of him when it comes to his personality and the way he is and his work ethic, but I've sold out on all my stock on Jalen Hurts. I'm completely out on him. Um, it's not the fact that he's not talented. He's a good runner. He's got great leadership, but man, at the end of the day, it's like I was telling Jim before that it's the NFL. You still got to just have the talent. You just have to have the raw, natural ability, the skill, the Patrick Mahomes arm, the Josh Allen type arm, and he just doesn't have it. There's been, we saw in that Dallas play, that not the interception to Diggs, but the one even before that was a completely underthrown ball. He struggled terribly against the Panthers. The Raiders, he was really, really bad. I mean, you just got to, how I see it is just, and people, I see these arguments, he's still young. He's a second round pick. The Cardinals gave up on Josh Rosen after like 1 year, and he was a top 10 pick. Jalen Hurts has had 12, now 13 starts in the NFL. It's the NFL. There's only 32 people that get a starting quarterback job. It's a very small market job, and he just doesn't have the talent to me to be a starter. Am I a big fan of him? Yes. He's a tough guy not to root for, but yeah, I'm completely bought out on him.
He said something at the end of the game yesterday. I don't know, along the lines like that. Wins are a quarterback stat. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. But then that's a kind of a dumb thing to say considering the fact that he's had a losing record since being a starter.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't hear it. I just saw it on like Twitter today, and in quotes or whatever, that winning is a quarterback stat or something along those lines. It is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's weird. I mean, obviously there's plenty of games where I can name off the top of my head where the quarterback played absolutely out of his mind, spectacular. Tom Brady against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and they couldn't win just because
and
the didn't perform.
You look at like backup quarterbacks, and then they go to these teams and they succeed. All right, well, that year that the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning was not Peyton Manning.
He was horrible.
Okay, so that defense carried him throughout the entire year. So
it's so funny that you brought that up. Me and my dad were talking about that last night at dinner. How like we were so grateful that he retired because he was debating on coming back, and he just would have been terrible if he came back.
I mean, the year that I drafted him in fantasy when he broke the passing touchdown record, that was awesome. But he wasn't anywhere near the quarterback his last year with the Broncos. I just want to bring him up before I bring in like other guys, but Case Keenum with the Vikings we were talking about before the show. That Vikings team was awesome that year.
Amazing. Yeah, they were crazy good.
They were awesome that year. All right, so now we see Case Keenum, and he's not, you know what I mean? So was it that Vikings team? Was it Case? So I don't think winning, it is, but it isn't,
It's like Mike White for the Jets yesterday. He's the new hot thing in the NFL.
He played well, though. He played well. 300 passing yards.
No, yeah, he played great, but it's like anything. Like, I mean, like he's a no-name guy that was bouncing around team to team, trying to make a team, gets a shot with the Jets and takes advantage of it. He's not the franchise quarterback. Jets fans, yes, he had a great game. When you draft a guy with the number 2 overall pick, you're going to stick with him no matter what. It's like the Gardner Minshew thing with Trevor Lawrence when there was a quarterback competition. When you draft a guy with the number 1 overall pick, he's going to start every single time. It's just the way life works.
The Jets coach, though, he did say that Mike White gave himself another opportunity to play, and if he keeps playing well, he's going to keep getting more opportunities. He did say that yesterday.
Yeah, I agree, but Mike White's not going to throw for 400 yards every week.
You never know.
No,
supposedly somebody who writes for the New York Jets or whatever, someone said, I heard on First Things First this morning, but someone was comparing Mike White to the next Tom Brady after one big game. Someone compared him to Tom Brady.
I give him credit. I mean, they beat a good team. I mean, Bengals. I mean, I don't think they're great, but they're definitely not a bad team. It's not like he beat like the Giants or the Eagles or something. He beat a solid team, so you got to give him credit where it's due. But yeah, I would relax. I would see how he plays next week. He'll probably come a little bit more back down to earth. There's a reason why Mike Wright was like a free agent and all that. Everyone likes to say it though. Tom Brady was 199th pick in a draft. You never know, but I know. I think Mike.
Oh, I'm sure that he's not going to be the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, hot take. Mike White is not going to be the next Brady.
I would like to finish this off when we talk football. Obviously,
you got to say you got to let the Jets fans just be excited. Like you let them be excited about something.
they haven't had too much to be happy about in these past couple of years, so if they want to enjoy the Mike White era for a little bit, we'll let them.
Yeah, go ahead, have your fun.
But just to end off for football, if you guys didn't see today, Von Miller was traded by the Denver Broncos to the Rams. Bryce, your reaction with that move?
Super Bowl favorites.
You're locking them in as the Super Bowl favorites now. I know you liked them before the season started, but now as the trade deadline's pretty much wrapping up, you have them as your Super Bowl favorites?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know I obviously have been leaning towards them and the Buccaneers. To me, like obviously both, Super Bowl, my Super Bowl favorites. But to me, that move brings them over the top. Von Miller's still a very, very, very good player. You team him up with Aaron Donald. That's going to be a scary, 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 scary defensive line for these teams in the next couple of weeks. Because now you got to go from, hey, we're going to double, triple team people. They triple team Aaron Donald. You're not going to be able to do that anymore with Von Miller on the other end. The Rams are bought in. I mean, they don't have like a pick for the next 5 years, which I love.
They have one pick next year. They have two actually, but the first pick next year is not until the 5th round.
They call me crazy, but I know they haven't drafted in the first round the last 2 drafts, and I'm pretty sure in the Joe Burrow draft they didn't draft till the 3rd round, and I think it was kind of similar to this year. They haven't
Yes,
drafted.
and they selected Cam Akers, who got hurt this year, and then they flipped their 6th round pick next year for Sony Michel.
Yeah, I know they're completely bought in on trading the Madden. They're literally like it's like a 15-year-old kid playing Madden.
Oh man, when I was younger and I would do GM mode,
yeah,
I would trade every pick and try to load up for some talent.
I mean, now you especially look at it. To me, it might be we could be talking about potentially if the Rams win a Super Bowl or two, we could be talking about all-time greatest trades. This Matt Stafford trade.
If they win a Super Bowl.
No,
If's obviously the big word, but it's paying off right now. That offense looks amazing. You were really high on them to start the year. I like Matt Stafford, but I never saw them winning the Super Bowl. With this move, it puts them in much better position. But then again, like we talked about, any given Sunday, I mean, you can load up on all the talent you want, but you have to show up that day. I mean, look at the Dodgers. They were stacked with players, and the Atlanta Braves, who really had a bunch of no names. You didn't hear about him before the season started. Now Rosario might win.
It's like Boston back in the day.
Might help the Braves win.
Boston's World Series MVP was Steven Pierce or whatever.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, listen, Von Miller's awesome. He's not the same Von Miller that he was when he won the MVP with the Broncos and the Super Bowl.
I don't think he's a ball. I don't think he's like out of that league completely. Like he's still a 10 sack a season guy to me.
But then again, like yes, also so now you put him on a team with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. Now teams are going to have to account for all 3 of them. So Von Miller might be able to get more sacks, more tackles.
I saw today somebody like an ESPN type analyst, like a big guy on Twitter, said, "Is it crazy to say the Rams could go down as one of the best, if not the best defense of all time?" Granted, it's very early to tell. The '85 Bears to me are the best defense of all time, but man, you can't deny that talent. The Rams, they're not far behind. They have the best cornerback in the NFL, the best all-around defensive player in the NFL, and I wouldn't say Von Miller's too behind on. I wouldn't say he's at top 15 guy. He's definitely a top 15 defender still, in my opinion. You bring him in. It's a Super Bowl move. If they're all in on the Super Bowl, you got to respect it.
Definitely
obviously.
gonna watch that game this weekend. He is playing against Baltimore. I believe they play Baltimore.
That's going to be
That will be a great game.
that's going to be a great test. A tough quarterback to sack.
We need a Bryce's best bet for that game.
I'll get it out. I was just too busy this week to really look at the board when it came to the NFL.
No,
But
it's all good. No, but big trade. I was obviously talking to you about that. It's gonna be interesting to see some other moves. I think the Buccaneers now have to make a move, to kind of stay with the Rams. I think the Packers, they might make a move, because that was a big victory for them to beat the Cardinals without Devontae Adams. Hey, they're still in it. So you got multiple teams in the NFC now loaded. You got the Buccaneers, the Packers, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Rams.
Especially you got to think, in my opinion, the Titans. Granted, I still think they're a solid team. Any shot of them winning the Super Bowl is kind of out the window without Derrick Henry. He is their offense.
He's their quarterback.
Yeah, so you lose him. That's huge. That's a whole team to me out of it, just completely out. Super Bowl hopes are just done because
Ryan. The AFC is not looking too strong this year.
No, yeah, I mean,
not looking too strong.
That's a team eliminated, so you got to look to take advantage of that. Just a complete team out of it. It's going to be a lot easier playing the Titans without Derrick Henry.
I mean, I think it depends on where you see the Bills. I know you don't like the Bills that much, but I think the top 5 teams in the NFL might be out of the NFC this year.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely. I'm not too bought in on the Bills still. I just don't know what it is about me. I don't know what it is with Josh Allen. He's proven time in and time out that
do you not trust him, or do you just not think he's that as great of a quarterback as everyone makes? Do you not trust him in big moments? Do you?
I just think the thing that worries me about him is what I'm noticing about the Buccaneers and these really good teams, Buccaneers, Rams, is that they're going in and they're beating these teams, and their quarterbacks for the most part are staying consistent. I just feel like yesterday, Miami almost beat them.
Miami does have close performances. They do show up.
I just
times. You know what I mean? They get remember that one year they showed up and beat the Patriots when the Patriots were supposed to be the number 1 seed. So they do show up at times. With the Bills, though, they were a yard away from beating the Titans. Then you beat the Titans, then you win this week, and then you're looking at a way different.
I just think the other thing, sorry to interrupt you, is and I know I keep coming back to them, and I know I'm just a Rams lover. People must think I'm a Rams fan, but I just think they're just.
You are a Rams fan. You are.
I'm just.
You're a Rams fan.
No, it's not. It's just a Stafford. I'm just a Stafford guy. I just always have been. I'm happy to see him finally. He found that team. But I just think they're to me, any team with number 12, Tom Brady as their quarterback, is going to the Super Bowl. I always think, and just. I don't know. To me, right now, it's a 2-team toss-up. I think it's either going to be the Buccaneers and the Rams. I think they're kind of a little bit further ahead than everybody else. I'm not really too bought in on the Packers just because. I'm just not bought in. It's kind of similar to the Cardinals. I feel yes, they're very good teams. They're just missing something. They're missing that edge, that consistency.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray had a bad game. He played really bad for how he is. He's top 5 quarterback in the league. He threw for 200 yards and had 2 interceptions. Stafford and Brady, their bad games are still good games for most quarterbacks. So we'll see. I don't know. It's tough, man. This is one of those seasons where it's kind of really hard to tell.
Do you think our NFC East rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, have a shot?
Don't say that. No, I think their coaching will be their downfall when it comes later into the season. Also, another big thing, and I'm not just saying this because I don't like them, they're playing easy games. If you've looked at the Dallas Cowboys schedule, they haven't had any really unbelievably hard opponents to play throughout this season. If you really think about it, their hardest game was week 1 of the season when, that Bucs game might have gone a lot differently now because obviously the first game of the season is always a put your feet back into the water type game, get used to it. But no, I'm not completely bought in on them yet. I still don't think that defense is great. I think that, Mike McCarthy isn't anything too special yet. So I wouldn't say – I definitely think they're a Super Bowl contender, but I don't think they're anything. I think they're kind of similar to the Cardinals, but they're probably a little bit worse than the Cardinals to me. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they can win a Super Bowl?
Super Bowl? No, I think their defense is still a little young.
That's what I mean. I just don't.
They're talented. They're extremely talented. I never liked Mike McCarthy as a head coach. I know Aaron Rodgers he was vocal at the time that he got he didn't really help me out. I remember talking to you about it on a couple episodes ago, him not calling timeouts in key moments. That just was not good coaching.
Also, wait, can we talk about real quick? I know this is way off topic. What was up with Sean Payton throwing the ball?
Because everybody thought that he was going to run it. Kind of similar to how that Super Bowl, Pete Carroll against the Patriots, everyone knew the run was coming with Marshawn Lynch. So you throw it to try to catch the defense off guard. But that would be different if you had Jameis Winston in there or Drew Brees in there.
Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, not Trevor Siemian. You can't throw that ball.
Yeah, you got it. I mean,
hey, they still came out with a win.
I agree, but it was very bad coaching. I thought that was probably the worst coaching you could have done. You can't give Tom Brady a timeout in over a minute and a half to come down the field just to, that's just my opinion.
It's one of those plays though, where, hey, if it works, it's a great play call. If it doesn't, it's a terrible play call. Yeah. I think it just, it was unfortunate. I would have just ran it.
It's hard to risk it with Trevor Siemian as your quarterback. That's a hard risk.
And especially when you have Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram now. Those are two very solid running backs. They're going to get some yards, and
Sorry for.
No, that's.
I just had the comment.
Where do you? I know there's a lot of rumors with the Saints now. What they're going to do at the quarterback position? Taysom Hill still injured with his concussion. Trevor Siemian has not had much success in the NFL, so.
No, Trevor Siemian's bad. Trevor Siemian's very bad.
Do the Saints make a call to Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers? I heard Drew Brees might come out of retirement. Where do you see the Saints going next with this?
They announced today that they're out on Cam Newton. I personally think Cam Newton's NFL career is over. Just time, it's over. Drew Brees, he's making too much money and being an announcer. He signed that big deal. Mm-hmm. I also think it would be unfair. He's a big family guy, and I think he probably retired because of family, so I think he's done. I don't see Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement either. You got to think these guys haven't practiced football. When you retire, you're not training in that football. It would be too hard at this point in the season unless they've been practicing, which I doubt they've even been throwing the football.
But what's so tough is the Saints got that big win yesterday, so they're very much alive in the playoff race. Listen, they get Michael Thomas coming back soon. You get Taysom Hill back from injury. Even if you bring in a veteran quarterback like Phillip Rivers, who did play well last year, would you rather have Phillip Rivers running your team or Trevor Siemian?
I mean, it just depends. To me, it's just hard because I feel like Phillip Rivers being so old and just he hasn't been. You really don't know. So every guy's different. He might have not thrown a football since his last NFL game, and same thing goes for Drew Brees. It'd be too difficult for them to just jump into the season. Unfortunately for them, they're just going to have to roll with Trevor Siemian. It's not like they can really trade for a guy because it's similar. It's going to take a while for a quarterback. To me, a guy that pops into my head, honestly, is I'm pretty sure he's a free agent, Blake Bortles. Maybe you want to give him a call. A guy that's had experience, a guy that's been to an AFC championship game, has won a couple playoff games. Maybe bring him in on a tryout, try to get him to learn the offense. That's just the one name that I can think of. That everything else to me is just –
yeah.
I just think it's a really crappy situation for them, but thankfully they just traded back for Mark Ingram, so they have two. I still think Mark Ingram's a solid running back, as we all know. Alvin Kamara is easily a top 5 guy. They're just going to have to commit to the run. They're going to have to be gritty, and they're going to have to roll with Trevor Siemian. And it's not like he played god awful. He definitely played better than I expected against a good defense. So maybe they can roll with him. I mean, he still was a start in the NFL for over 2 or 3 seasons. So, you just go with him and you see what you can do. Hopefully, Taysom Hill can get healthy. It's a shame what happened with Winston, but it's part of the NFL. I mean, no one thought the Eagles could win when Carson Wentz went down and Nick Foles came in. So you just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah. No, it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams go about the NFL trade deadline. I think a lot of moves are going to happen, a lot of changing parts. I'm always excited. I'm always checking my phone throughout the day to see who's getting traded where.
No, it's always big. It's just weird. The NFL is so much different than baseball where stud players get traded for nothing and all that. It's just it's not like a league like that. It's not like a quarterback can get traded, in week 9 and then just go and start for a team. It's going to take him 3 to 4 weeks. Look at Gardner Minshew. It took him 5-6 weeks to finally step in and be ready to take Eagle snaps. It's just the way it is. It's hard to learn these playbooks. The only thing I see that's just how I see it. There's not going to be any like quarterback trades. I definitely see a running back or two getting out of there. The Titans, are still a really good team. They do bring in Adrian Peterson. Love that move, bringing in AP. But they're going to look to probably trade for a guy, get somebody in there, and we'll see what they do. But maybe AP comes back to life.
Maybe.
Frank
Never
Gore's
know.
out there. I think Frank Gore's still out there.
That'd be interesting. I also heard Jamal Williams, who's the backup running back for the Detroit Lions. That'd be a big pickup for any team.
That's a really good pickup for somebody.
That would be huge for the Titans.
He won me my fantasy football title. Jamal Williams, shout out to him.
I'm hoping he gets traded tomorrow because I have him on my fantasy team and I need a second running back.
No, I'm big on him. I'm a believer in him. I think he could definitely be a playmaker, game changer for a team. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get too crazy about the NFL trade deadline. It's never too crazy,
Mm-hmm. Hey, before we wrap up here, you brought up baseball and trades. Last night, the Houston Astros came away with a big victory against the Atlanta Braves at Atlanta. So now they're going back to Houston tomorrow night. One, who do you think is winning the game tomorrow? And two, I guess that means who do you think is winning the series? Do you think this is going 7? Do you think the Braves finish it off tomorrow? What do you think is going to happen here with this series? It's been a great series so far.
No, it's been one of the more exciting World Series, I think, in the last couple of years for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Astros are going to win it. I think the Braves really had to finish them off last night. And I know this sounds crazy and people aren't going to believe me, but I was watching the game with my dad and they hit the grand slam. And obviously, I think right away people were thinking this game's over. I thought
it was over.
I thought the opposite. I actually was like certain the Astros were going to come back. And I knew they wouldn't do it right away, but they chipped at it. I just thought the Braves just brought out a really weak pitcher. That guy was not ready to pitch in a World Series game. Granted, the Astros pitcher has been horrible so far this World Series. I think he's given up like close to 10 runs in under like 5 innings.
It's a shame because Valdez was awesome against the Red Sox in the series before, and now he just has not been able to find a groove.
He doesn't have his curveball, and it's crushing him for sure. But I think if the Astros win this game, I think they'll definitely win Game 7 because I think they're going to put Zach Greinke out there. And to me,
you think?
I think Zach Greinke's going to pitch Game 7. They're going to start him a game early, which I would because Zach Greinke pitched great in the the game he pitched. He did,
but he's coming off that neck injury. He's old. I would obviously like. How cool would that be for Greinke to get out there in Game 7? I think it's to finish off his career. I think he's done after this year, honestly.
I mean, I think Zach Greinke's a stud, a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. I mean, I've always been a big fan of him. I want to see him go out on top, so I'd like to see him pitch in a Game 7. I think it's similar to a Madison Bumgarner situation. Those couple of years ago when they were like Madison Bumgarner had come off of 2-day rest, and they were like, "Listen, we're going to pitch him." So be ready. And I think it's going to be similar. They're going to expect him to pitch Game 7. Granted, they have to win the game. They have to win Game 6 first. But, yeah, I mean, it's a really exciting World Series. Right now, there's no even clear cut for, like, who's going to be the MVP of the World Series right now.
Oof. It can't be a pitcher because you haven't had – it's been a lot of bullpen pitchers.
No, yeah, it can't be. Right now –
Maybe if the Braves were to win it, I would say it'd be Adam Duvall. I was
going to say Jorge Soler
because he had the pinch hit home run and the leadoff home run in Game 1.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards more him, and just because I think he's the reason why they're in the World Series. He was the big.
Freddie Freeman, obviously, he had a big night last night with the home run.
Last night they said they were like, this could be Freddie Freeman's possibly last game in Atlanta Braves uniform. He's a free agent. He's never leaving in a million years.
Didn't he sign a contract extension?
No, he's set to be a free agent, which is insane that they even let it get this far. But
they won't. They'll give him a blank check. He's
like Derek Jeter. When it comes to the Braves, he ain't like Todd Helton.
I could see. Soler's a good pick. Top 3, no order. Soler, Duvall. That was a huge home run. Obviously, they couldn't win, but they didn't win. But Freddie Freeman, he's always been a consistent, great player.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy. Obviously, the World Series MVP is something very crazy can happen in these next couple of weeks that could change all that. Which I think we both know.
If
But
the Astros win, obviously a lot's going to – another thing I think is big, though, the MVP, I think that game that your team wins, that really boosts your case or not. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, with these next two games, obviously it can change. Any player can step up in a big moment. But I think if the Astros to win, I think Carlos Correa would have it on lock.
I couldn't. Yeah, I agree. He'd be the guy I'd give it to, unless obviously crazy things could happen. You never know. Yoran Alvarez could hit a grand slam in the game 6 and then come out game 7 and hit 2 home runs, and be the World Series.
The Astros need him to step up. They need two players to step up. They need Bregman to step up, and they need Alvarez to step up.
I will say, another guy that I think has been quietly very solid is, and this is the craziest thing to say, but I'd actually say Martin Maldonado.
I was just going to bring him up. He had 3 very big at bats last night,
and he's been catching. And he's been catching well. It's just that's another guy. Obviously, the least likely guy you would think to win the World Series. That's what makes baseball great, is that the World Series MVP could just be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a pitcher this year unless you get some kind of crazy pitching performance.
If you get a shutout, a nine game. I mean, if the Braves pitcher, whoever it is, tomorrow night pitches.
Max Fried's a pitcher tomorrow.
Yeah, if Max Fried pitches a 9-inning shutout, I think he wins the World Series MVP. But besides that, no.
Yeah.
I think right now, if for the Astros, if it ended today, let's just say they were going to Game 7 and nothing like significant happened, I'd probably actually lean it towards Martin Maldonado, because they don't win that game last night without hit the way he performed.
Mm-hmm.
Just came up clutch, not like he got a huge hits or anything like that, but he got the job done.
Oh, he had very key at bats and 3 RBIs. Obviously helped him a lot, and just a great game behind the plate.
Yeah, he just came up clutch. He just got his job done, got runs in. But yeah, no, I think it's honestly, if you haven't watched the World Series yet, I know people don't love to watch baseball. I'm a big baseball guy. You're a big baseball guy. I think it's been the best World Series in a long time.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Because it's like modern day baseball. All these games have been high scoring. Besides the one game, but then back-to-back home runs, which is insane.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I've enjoyed the series, and it's not like these two teams are teams that I'm big fans of. You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather watch the Boston Red Sox versus the Los Angeles Dodgers,
I hate the Braves.
Or the Yankees versus the Dodgers. But the series has been good so far with these two teams. We're winding down. I think we only have a couple minutes left, 2-3 minutes, but that's not a Bryce's best bet. But will we be expecting a Bryce's best bet tomorrow? You taking the Astros?
No, I'm going to give it out now. I'm giving out the Astros to win tomorrow, and if they win tomorrow, I'm giving them out to win the next game.
All right, you heard it here first. Bryce is going with the Houston Astros for these next 2 games. They got to come away with the Game 6 victory, though.
I really want to see a Game 7, and I really want to see Zach Greinke out there. That would be
awesome.
That would be like perfect for. I just think all of them would need to see him go out there, possibly in his last game ever.
Yeah,
maybe World Series MVP pitches an unbelievable game.
I'm very excited. I just want to leave you with this crazy stat that I heard last night before we finish off. There hasn't been a team that has won the World Series at their home field since the Boston Red Sox did it in 2013. Just throwing that out there. So history right now over the past couple of years is on the Brave side, heading back to Houston. I think Houston's going to step up too, and I think they're going to win the World Series, just like you said.
Wait, Game 7 would be played at Atlanta, though, right?
No, Houston.
It would be played at Houston. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just throwing that out there. But less than a minute left. Bryce, great episode tonight. Obviously, we'll be back here in a couple of days. But that's it for the 26th episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. If you haven't already, follow Bryce's Best Bets account on Twitter for the latest picks. You can also follow the Brothers of Broad Street account on Instagram for them as well. And subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You guys can find us anywhere. Bryce, great work.
Go Birds, baby.
As always, go Birds.